this fight that Castillo was shot. They look pretty smart right now.
Absolutely. The way Jose Luis Castillo sat that one out, shocking to many at ringside.
Yeah, he looked like a shot fighter from the beginning.
Not the same guy who fought Diego Corrales in back-to-back fights, and maybe as a result of those fights, he's not the same guy.
Yeah, I was very surprised when I saw the first 10 seconds how bad he looked.
So maybe the first 6 rounds against Ngoju meant, Emmanuel, that he was done.
Yep.
And Hatton won't get much credit for that victory because of the way Castillo looked.
Yeah, but he did a good job, though.
Let's take a look at the finish once again. We've seen a lot of knockouts recently on body shots. Here's another one.
Right under the elbow. And he didn't see that. He wasn't expecting it. He thought that he was coming to the head.
I thought for a moment he was trying to convince Cortez he had been hit low. But no, it was the perfect liver shot.
Yep.
One more look at Ricky Hatton's perfect location of the left hook under the right arm.
And that's unusual to see Mexican fighters, because in training, all the time, that's their favorite punches, is exchanging left hooks to the body.
This is what Mexican fighters have been doing to their opponents for decades.
I'm very surprised to see a Mexican fighter get knocked out with a body punch. It's unusual.
So a 4th round knockout victory for Ricky Hatton over Jose Luis Castillo becomes the gaudiest element of the Hatton resume for the moment.
They're singing Christmas songs in June, but it is Christmas to them.
Let's go to Michael Buffer for the particulars on the Hatton KO.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Joe Cortez reaches the count of 10. The official time, 2 minutes, 16 seconds, round number 4. The winner by knockout victory, still undefeated, still the IBO light welterweight champion of the world from Manchester, England, Ricky Hitman Hatton.
He wanted to provide spectacle in this, the 3rd fight of his American campaign. Disappointed in his performance against Luis Collazo in Boston last year. Disappointed in his performance against Juan Urango in Las Vegas earlier this year. Logic tells you this will not disappoint Ricky Hatton. 81 out of 220 in overall CompuBox numbers against 58 of 192 for Castillo. A 7% edge in connect percentage. At the end of the day, these numbers do not communicate the degree to which Hatton was the sharper, more accurate puncher in the fight. Landing 29 more power punches, throwing 50 more, generally getting his way against Castillo. And now let's go to Max Kellerman with the winner.
Congratulations, Ricky, for defending your one and only true lineal junior welterweight championship of the world tonight. Evaluate your performance.
To be honest, I really wanted to put a good performance on. I felt I've had 2 fights in the United States now, and I don't think I was at my best. I think tonight I was a bit more at my best. I'm known for me exciting, and I don't think I've been Mr. Excitement in my last 2 fights, but I was tonight, I think.
How is it that you seem to save your best performances for your biggest fights against your toughest opposition?
Well, I mean, you train hard for every single fight, but I think any top-line fighter will tell you, the bigger you test, you raise your game, you raise your performance. I mean, the best 2 names on my professional record, I think, are Castillo and Jose Luis Castillo, and those have been my best performances, so I think that speaks volumes.
Ricky, here's the knockout. Take a look on the body shot.
Yeah, I felt very, very strong inside, you know. I was just trying to keep my head away from I just touched him to the head. He was crossing his elbows over, a little bit Archie Moore type style, you know, and I just touched him to the head, slipped round and found the gap behind the elbows, and but from the very first bell, I felt stronger than him, so that was me key, because I felt so strong, you know, keep it on him and hopefully break him, you know.
You have a reputation as a tremendous body puncher, but how much of this knockout do you attribute to yourself, and how much to Diego Corrales and the various other wars Castillo's been in throughout his career?
Well, you know, as soon as the fight was mentioned against a great fighter like Jose Luis Castillo, I was hugely excited about the fight. And obviously, you know, to hear the sad news of Diego Corrales, you know, passing away, I think, you know, I like to think I'm an exciting fighter, but me and Diego were out of the same mold. We were all action, and I mean, boxing is a sadder sport without Diego Corrales in it, and I'd just like to dedicate that performance not only to Diego, to his lovely wife Michelle, who's here this evening. I hope he sat upstairs very proud and enjoyed that. God bless you, Michelle.
Ricky, but there will be those who say that Castillo, as a result of the fight with Corrales and the various other wars he's been in, was diminished, and you weren't fighting a prime Castillo. How do you respond to that?
Well, you know, well, I don't know, you know, I trained for the best Jose Luis Castillo, and, you know, I think that shows in the performance. But I don't know what it is lately. I'm man enough to hold my hands up and say last time and last two performances I was a bit under par. I'd like to think I'd be able to get a bit of a pat in the back for that one.
Indeed. Well, we know how your fans feel about the performance. You've now done something in this fight that Floyd Mayweather failed to accomplish against Castillo in his first fight. Beat him convincingly and do it in a fan-friendly, exciting fashion. Do you have anything to say to Floyd Mayweather or about a potential fight with Floyd Mayweather?
Well, you know, this fight tonight, what round was it? Round 4. I think you saw more action in these 4 rounds than you saw value for money in Floyd's whole career. I'll just leave it at that.
Congratulations, Ricky. Jim.
All right, thank you very much, Max. This, incidentally, is a momentary tribute to the fact that the Lampley family tree, Emmanuel, originated in Manchester, England, 7 centuries ago. So, for at least a moment, I get to wear the Ricky Hatton muffler. He didn't like his first trip up to welterweight last year against Luis Collazo. He decided to go back down to 140. Now he cements his identity again as the #1 140-pound fighter in the world, but that's not a loaded weight class. Welterweight is where all the action is. Cotto, Margarito, Williams, and of course the big name that Max mentioned is Floyd Mayweather. Could Ricky go back to welterweight and be more comfortable this time?
He could, but I think he's a superstar in the junior welterweight where he seems to fit comfortable. He got everything that he looked for tonight. He got the great victory, the excitement. He is a true superstar now. Maybe one of the biggest attractions in boxing today. I was very impressed with him tonight. And it is interesting that his 2 biggest and greatest victories were against his biggest and most notable names, which is great. Castillo and Castillo was the biggest names he's ever fought, and those were his 2 greatest victories. So today what he did, I mean, he's won everybody over, including me.
Yeah, but he's going to have to search long and hard to find another name like that in the 140-pound weight class.
Yeah, but he'll draw with whoever he fights to a certain degree because of the fans.
If he moves up 7 more pounds, there's a boatload of opponents like that, Max. He's got to go to welterweight again, doesn't he?
It looks that way. Let me just say, it's unfair to now play revisionist historian, but I think I'm gonna. Going into this fight just a few minutes ago, I said, this is an even kind of fight. Castillo's a great fighter. He's never been dominated. Wow, would it be something if Ricky Hatton dominated him in an exciting fight, which is exactly what Ricky Hatton did. It seems unfair to take a little credit away, but here it goes. Castillo did look like a shot fighter tonight, like he was showing up to kind of see what this young guy had, and when he saw what he had, he thought, it's too much for me, and packed it in on a body shot.
Yeah, and incidentally, that was quite a moment when Ricky made his little tribute to Diego Corrales in the ring following the fight. That was indeed Diego's wife who came up and gave him an embrace. So Hatton once again showed, incidentally, that he has the instinct of a politician and the timing of a politician as well.
Yeah, he has an earnest quality about him, and he fights in that way usually, or at least when he does, it's when he's at his best. And that kind of charm, that kind of boy next door charm has won over his fans as much as his fighting style.
Hey, and if you thought the crowd in Madison Square Garden 2 weeks ago for Cotto versus Judo was off the board, this one was like being at the Texas-Oklahoma game. So thanks very much for being with us once again. We want to remind you that July 7, Vladimir Klitschko defends his heavyweight championship against Lehman Brewster, who knocked Vladimir out in 2004. Klitschko-Brewster will air live from Cologne, Germany at 5 p.m. Eastern Time and re-air in its entirety that same night at 10:30. 1 week later, July 14, it's a welterweight triple header headlined by Antonio Margarito's defense of his portion of the title against undefeated Paul Williams. Also that night, Kermit Cintron puts his slice of the title on the line against Walter Matisse. And Arturo Gatti returns to the ring, taking on Alfonso Gomez from the Contender. Immediately following that July 14 triple header, stick around for Countdown to Hopkins' Right, a half-hour documentary-style look at both fighters as they prepare for their upcoming showdown. July 21 on HBO pay-per-view, Bernard Hopkins steps into the ring for the first time since his destruction of Antonio Tarver to take on Winky Wright in a matchup of two of the sport's best technicians. And July 28, Boxing After Dark returns with a face-off of former champions when Carlos Baldemir meets Vernon Forrest. For all that and more, log on to HBO.com. Next on HBO, it's Entourage, followed by John from Cincinnati on the East Coast and the premiere of The Sentinel on the West Coast. And now for our entire HBO crew, I'm Jim Lampley saying so long from Las Vegas, Nevada.
This has been a presentation of HBO Sports.